Companies aren't known for having the little guy in mind. There are a number of consumer regulations, guidelines, and safety protocols in place to protect customers from being taken advantage of by major corporations. Unfortunately, many of these regulations are poorly enforced, not widely known, and difficult to prove. Large companies will frequently take cost-cutting measurements to save on profits and try to sneak it past the consumers, charging a similar price for less or lower quality products. Some of the biggest culprits, in fact, are companies that provide critical and necessary services. So we decided to put a list of 8 famous companies that rip you off. But before we begin, please hit the like button to give us a like. Thank you. Number 8. Apple iPhone. Come on, you know this was going to be on the list. The interesting thing about iPhones is that just because iPhones keep getting more expensive doesn't mean they cost Apple more to make. In fact, the cost of making iPhones has gone down significantly thanks to price drops of a few key components. One example is the NAND flash memory chips used in all iPhones to store photos, videos, and apps. In recent years, prices for these chips have dropped sharply due to a surplus in the semiconductor industry. Currently, the per gigabyte price hovers around 30 cents. Apple doesn't disclose how much they pay suppliers, but according to Wayne Lamb, a leading mobile industry analyst with IHS Markit, storage on iPhones cost Apple about 25 cents per gigabyte. Then in store, Apple charges customers roughly 78 cents per gigabyte to upgrade to a higher storage phone. All of this means a higher profit margin for Apple, especially on high storage models. According to data compiled by Bloomberg, Apple was making an average of $134 in profit on every iPhone sold, excluding assembly and software costs, up from last year's $107. And a 512 gigabit iPhone XS Max can make Apple $214 more than the same phone with 64 gigabits of storage. Semiconductor industry analysts have predicted that the surplus of NAND memory is going to cause another downward pricing correction, if not a full-on collapse, therefore pushing prices as low as 8 cents per gigabyte for Apple. During one of Apple's fourth quarter earnings call, an analyst asked Apple CFO Luca Maestri why the price drops of NAND memory chips didn't flow through to the consumer end. Maestri said it's true that Apple had reaped some benefits from the cost savings, but then quickly changed the subject to talk about Apple's new products and services. Even though Apple provides quality service, the price at which it is provided is really quite exorbitant, with some of its service exceeding cost of $1,000. Number 7. Nestle and Fiji Bottle Mineral Water. There's nothing quite like the feeling of pure, ice-cold hydration. Some of us get our water for free from the tap, but guess what? Some pay for it, at the cost of roughly $100 billion a year. At that steep price tag, you might assume buying the bottled stuff would be worth it. In most cases, you'd be wrong. It is proven that a glass from the tap and a glass from the bottle are practically identical in terms of health and nutritional value. In some cases, publicly sourced tap may actually be safer since it is usually tested more frequently. And bottled water is not cheap. With an average price of 40 to 70 cents per liter, we spend 300 to 500 times more on bottled water than we would on water from the tap. 1 liter of water from the tap costs on average only 0.2 cents. So for $1, you can buy 2 to 3 liters of bottled water or 500 liters of tap water. How cool is that? And research suggests that for most peoples, the stuff in a bottle is not better for you than the stuff in your tap. In fact, a recent report found that almost half of all bottled water is actually derived from the tap. In 2007, Pepsi, Aquafina, and Nestle, Pure Life, had to change their labels to more accurately reflect this. So you are practically paying for water that you could have at home. And the worst part is your tap is better than the paid bottled water. It's like paying to breathe oxygen. Number 6. Starbucks. Just like their hops and barley counterparts, coffee shops, particularly Starbucks, have cottoned on a way to trick customers into paying more for less. Only instead of downsizing the size of the cups, they just get real tricky about how they tell employees to fill them. After being accused of underfilling their lattes by about 25% of the advertised quantity, Starbucks came forward to say that their cups were indeed capable of holding the amount of coffee paid for, provided the cups were filled to the ever-loving brim, which of course they never do. On top of that, the baristas were instructed to leave a quarter of empty, coffeeless space in each cup. That's like an extra 15 minutes of morning alertness you're robbing from us. Starbucks was even taken to court over this deception, prompting the company to defend their policy with a slew of ridiculous arguments. According to Starbucks, a reasonable consumer would not have an issue with this practice since they would assume the coffee size included the foam. Apparently, this reasonable consumer is an alien from planet I don't mind getting ripped off. The court disagreed with this assertion because unfortunately for Starbucks, it was made out of regular human beings who use earthly logic and as so should provide logical, truthful service. Number 5. Cinema popcorn. Going to the movies can be one of the biggest rip-offs when it comes to booking fees, food, and drinks. But one of the biggest examples of price gouging is the cost of popcorn. It's been estimated that movie theaters make an 85% profit at the concession stand on overpriced soda, candy, nachos, hot dogs, and of course, popcorn. Movie theater popcorn has been called one of America's biggest rip-offs, with a retail price of 9 times what it costs to make. Cinemas put a staggering markup on the price of popcorn, considering you can buy a 100-gram bag of popcorn for about $1.95, which makes about 8 servings. In comparison, most major cinemas will charge you $8 for a small box of popcorn. Even some of those much maligned hipster bars give away popcorn for free, it's that cheap. Cinema operators justify their high prices by saying they don't make much money on tickets, so they need the extra profits from food sales to boost their revenue. But with most people already paying about $15 a ticket, it doesn't make for a cheap night. Number 4. Beats headphones. A collaborative effort between hip-hop legend Dr. Dre and music industry veteran Jimmy Iovine gave us Beats by Dre. Beats by Dre headphones were a sensation when they first came on the scene in the late 2000s, and the company soon took over the headphones market. In 2012, NPD Group reported that Beats' market share of the US high-end headphones domain was a staggering 64%. Consumers were more than happy to fork over almost $500 for the headphones beloved by their favorite celebrities and sports stars. Most didn't even know just what set the headphones apart from their competitors. Allegedly, they feature the EQ settings preferred by Dre himself. This was despite the fact that anybody who knew anything about headphones or audio quality agreed that Beats headphones were subpar. Time magazine famously ranked Beats dead last in a survey of 18 high-end headphones. Then in 2015, reports surfaced that the headphones, which cost up to $480 to purchase, were super cheap to produce. And when we say super cheap, we mean the average pair of headphones cost a total of $14 to manufacture. Of course, one has to consider the other costs involved in getting a product into the hands of consumers, including Beats' no doubt remarkable marketing budget, but even that would hardly justify the incredible markup on Beats headphones. As Pulse Radio noted, Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine have ripped us all off, but they did it masterfully. Number 3. Coca-Cola. Coke came up with an idea to reach new customers, which is a smaller, more affordable can. It's 7.5 ounce in size, smaller than the standard 12-ounce can, costing twice as much per ounce as a 12-ounce can. In Walmart, the small cans sell for 5 cents per fluid ounce. The bigger standard cans cost 2.5 cents per fluid ounce, or half as much. The smaller cans are sold in packs of 24, while the larger 12-ounce cans are sold in a 12-pack. So if we have to do some math, a 24 count of 7.5-ounce cans at 0.5 cents per fluid ounce costs $9. A 12 count of 12-ounce cans at 0.25 cents per fluid ounce costs $3.60. It's actually 80 cents cheaper to buy 2 12-packs of 12-ounce cans and not just finish them, than to buy the smaller 7.5-ounce cans. 80 cents might not seem like much, but if you're buying a case a week, that's $41.60 a year, and that's money in your wallet. Then you have the change in size of bottle from a 2-liter bottle to a 1.75 liter without reduction in price. Sometimes it is the standard size reduced to a smaller size, but the price remains the same. Such a ripoff. Number 2. Toilet paper. The truth is that for years, toilet paper manufacturers have been selling less product and masking the shrinkage with hyperbole and hard-to-quantify claims. According to John T. Careville, a marketing professor at Harvard Business School, customers would rather buy a toilet paper that costs 79 cents than one that costs 89 cents, without thinking twice about the fact that the cheaper version has fewer sheets on the roll. In fact, the average toilet paper manufacturer reduced the number of sheets in their rolls were margin of 15%, and sometimes inflating the price in the process. Such heartless people. This might explain the reason for scarcity of toilet papers during the pandemic in America. Number 1. Lottery tickets. It comes as no surprise that the average person has minuscule chance of winning the lottery. The chances of winning a top prize in the average lottery are almost 68 million to 1. But in some cases, there is literally no chance that people can win. And that's because most lotteries continue to sell tickets to unknown customers even after the price has already been distributed. And then there's the quick pick tickets sold through Powerball Lottery. These tickets are intentionally printed without the winning numbers, so the only way you stand a chance of winning is if you choose your own numbers. Experts advise that the average person would have a better luck placing their money on any random stock or bond. The chances of this investment appreciating is 1,000,000 times more likely than on a lotto ticket. And that is all we have for you today. Let us know in the comment section of any companies you know that does these rip-off, or if you have been ripped off by a company before. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to give us a like if you found this video insightful, and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Till next time.